Today, I'm going to share a story that is shocking, but true. My son-in-law sold the house and left my daughter completely homeless. What happened next? You will never forget. This is a true story. It all started one rainy evening. My daughter Sarah came to my door, carrying only a small, worn-out bag. Raindrops clung to her hair, mixing with the tears that streamed down her face. Her eyes, usually so full of life, were wide with fear and disbelief. She looked at me, her voice barely a whisper, and said, "Papa, he sold the house." I was speechless. A wave of cold shock washed over me. The house my family had worked so hard for, the home where my grandchildren were supposed to grow up, gone. Just like that, she told me he had packed his things and left, telling her the new owners would be arriving in the morning. She had nowhere to go. My heart ached, seeing her so broken, so lost. I knew I had to be strong for her. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my own trembling hands, and pulled her into a hug. "Don't you worry about a thing," I said, my voice firm. "You are staying here. This is your home too. No one can ever throw my daughter out onto the street." Later that night, after she had a warm meal and a cup of tea, she explained everything. The story tumbled out between sobs and shaky breaths. About a year ago, her husband, Mark, had brought home a stack of papers. He'd told her it was just a formality for a small business loan he was taking out, something to help them get ahead. He'd been so charming, so convincing. He'd said it was for their future, for the kids. She trusted him completely, of course. Why wouldn't she? He was her husband, the father of her children. She signed where he pointed, never once suspecting the true nature of the documents. It wasn't a loan application. It was a power of attorney and a sales agreement. He had tricked her into giving him the sole authority to sell their jointly owned property. As Primera listened, my anger began to simmer beneath a surface of calm. This wasn't just about a house or a foolish financial decision. This was a calculated act of betrayal. It was about the abuse of trust, the shattering of vows, and a complete lack of respect for his own family. I knew I couldn't react with blind rage. I had to be careful. But I also had to be decisive. Justice needed to be served. The next morning, I was a man on a mission. I went down to the basement and pulled out every old file box I had. I spent hours sifting through years of paperwork, old bank receipts, property tax statements, the original mortgage documents, every piece of paper related to that house. I was looking for anything, any small detail that could help us. And I found it. A copy of the original deed clearly stated that the house was in both their names, and that any sale required the explicit consent of both parties. Then, I called a lawyer, a sharp man I'd known for years. I explained the entire situation, from the misleading papers to the secret sale. He listened patiently, and after I finished, he confirmed my deepest suspicions. The power of attorney was likely obtained under false pretenses, making it invalid. The sale was illegal. A sliver of hope cut through my anger. It was time to take action. It was time to fight back. I wasn't just fighting for a building of brick and mortar. I was fighting for my daughter's dignity and security. I had to make sure justice was done. The next step was the hardest. The confrontation. I arranged to meet my son-in-law at a neutral coffee shop. He strolled in with an arrogant smirk on his face, looking like a man who thought he had just pulled off the perfect crime. He probably expected me to yell, to beg, to make a scene. I did none of that. I sat there, calm and composed, and slid a thick envelope across the table toward him. It was the official legal notice from my lawyer, detailing the fraudulent nature of the sale and demanding its immediate reversal. He glanced at it and chuckled, a cold, dismissive sound. "A little late for that, old man," he sneered. "The deal is done." I looked him straight in the eye, my voice low but firm. "This is not about scaring you, Mark. This is about correcting a terrible mistake you've made. You preyed on your wife's trust. You threw the mother of your children out of her home. You cannot betray our family like this and just walk away free. You will face the consequences." The smirk finally vanished from his face, replaced by a flicker of panic. He was starting to realize this was not going to be as easy as he thought. The case went to court. It was a stressful time, but my daughter and I stood united. In the courtroom, Mark's lawyer tried to argue that Sarah had signed the papers willingly, but our lawyer was brilliant. He presented the evidence piece by piece. The original deed, financial records showing Mark had significant personal debts he was hiding, and testimony from a handwriting expert. He painted a clear picture of deception and manipulation. The judge examined all the papers carefully, his expression growing more and more stern as the facts came to light. The verdict was swift and decisive. The sale was declared null and void, illegal from the start. The house was returned to its rightful joint ownership. The judge wasn't finished. He looked directly at Mark and ordered him to pay significant damages to my daughter for the emotional distress and financial trouble he had caused. What he thought would be his easy profit, his clean getaway, had ended in his complete and utter failure. Justice had been served. My daughter moved back into her home. The first time she walked through the door, she took a deep, shaky breath, and then, for the first time in weeks, she truly smiled. It was a smile of relief, of safety, of coming home. She was safe and secure again. And my son-in-law, well, he learned a lesson he will never, ever forget. He learned that you cannot betray trust, cheat your own family, and expect to get away with it. He lost his home, his reputation, and a great deal of money. But most of all, he lost the respect of everyone who ever cared about him. This story is a powerful reminder for all of us. Even in our darkest moments, when we feel completely lost and betrayed, justice can prevail. We just have to stay calm, act wisely, and never, ever give up on what is right. Thank you for listening.